Hey YouTube, it's Bella here. This is going to be a double book review. So I just finished reading both of these. The first one is Vagabonding, an Uncommon Guide to the Art of Long-Term World Travel, and the other one is How to Travel the World on $50 a Day. I was actually recommended the second book in the first book. So a lot of times one book will lead me to another book, which will lead me to another book, to another idea, and I just keep exploring. Anyways, Tim Ferriss's podcast is what turned me on to vagabonding because he had an interview with the author of this, Rolf Potts, and the guy was just talking about how you will never feel like you can just leave and travel. You just have to go because no one's going to pat you on the back and tell you that, okay, Bella, it's time to go travel the world. Like, this is the day that you have enough money and enough time and enough resources. Like, there's never going to be a perfect time. People say that a lot about having kids. Like, there's just no perfect time to have kids. So I took a few notes from both of these. Whenever I'm trying to read a book, I always take notes and kind of try to get the key ideas out for myself so that I can keep it. So I'm trying to look at what I wrote down. A quote from Vagabonding was, "Work is a time to dream about travel and write notes to yourself, but it's also time to tie up your loose ends." So I read this while I was working, and I was kind of thinking, like, all the work that you put in and all the effort, like especially with people who work a real job and go travel, they appreciate travel more, or they tend to. But for me, work is just, work is running my business, but it doesn't really feel like work when I'm doing it. Um, I think that one of the best things from this vagabonding book is it talks about how you have to shift your perspective to do the long-term travel. He doesn't mean just going on a 2-week vacation. He means just completely leaving in 3 months, 6 months, a year, 2 years. Vagabonding was a really interesting book in terms of traveling in different countries and the attitudes that you have to take on. He does give a lot of travel tips, but I will say that the How to Travel the World on $50 a Day is a lot more about the practicalities of traveling the world, like getting health insurance that will cover you throughout the world, what kind of budget you can live on, how much food costs in each little region, things like how much stuff you should pack, and where vagabonding is more like the attitude that you have to have. So just trying to see what else I wrote down. Oh, I was reading this whenever I was working, and I said I don't see how people sustain work like this for years. I'm going to keep a positive attitude and try to learn what I can from this job. And here's another quote I wrote down from Vagabonding, and the quote is this: "If you think about it too much, you just end up staying at home and telling your grandchildren that you always wanted to do it." And I wrote, "I'm so thankful that I have a trigger finger for fast planning and implementation. Everything is figure-outable." Oops, my phone's ringing. Never fails that someone calls me when I'm trying to make a YouTube video. But anyways, we'll keep going. Yeah, and here's another quote from Vagabonding: "Don't ever live vicariously. This is your life. Live." And I wrote that I'm so glad that I'm a person who leaps for what they want instead of just sits on the couch and says that I wish that I could do it. There's nobody who's going to make you do stuff. Like, you kind of have to figure that stuff out on your own. And this has been good for me to think about these two things, because in the back of my head I have some long-term travel plans. I don't have anything planned out right now, but I've been hearing a lot of good things about Thailand, and I love the idea of just going somewhere for like a couple of months and just hanging out and running my business from my laptop. Like, I really think after this world or this cross-country trip that I could probably survive anywhere as long as I have some internet connection and a bed. So let's see. I definitely have some ideas about Wulfing. I don't know if you guys are familiar with Wulfing, but basically it's where you do organic farm work in exchange for a stay. So it's kind of like a work stay, which is honestly, that's what I had in my head whenever I was going to go work for Xanterra, but that just turned out to be totally the opposite. And the thing about Wulfing is that you have to join this thing called like the Wolf Network, and it's like $30 every region you join it. But you can do it in the United States, you can do it in Australia, New Zealand. It's very, very popular, and the way I understand it is you only work Monday through Friday, and you only have to work 5 to 6 hours a day. You get the weekends off in exchange for your time. You get to live on the property. So a lot of people who want to go see Australia do Wulfing because it's so expensive to stay in Australia otherwise. There's a couple of things that I pulled from How to Travel the World in $50 a Day. I'm just going to go through these really quickly. So World Nomads is a global insurance brand that covers you from around the world. So this is something to think about. If you are doing extensive long-term travel, you probably need to have some kind of health insurance just to kind of make sure nothing happens. Oh, this is a thing about hostels. So YAH, Youth Hostel Association, is associated with Hosteling International. They call them HI hostels or HI hostels. There's actually one in New York. I think it's like a block over from Broadway. It's in Manhattan, I believe. And I stayed at that one last February. And I looked online. I was staying with a group of people, but I looked online and the rates are only like $40 a night, and you're right in the heart of New York. So that's super cheap. I definitely want to look into this Hosteling International. I think this, yeah. And then there's discount cards that you can get. So if you stay with them frequently, you can get discounts. Let's see what else. Hostels are not that weird once you get over the fact that you have to be around other people. If you're like super introverted, then you might not like it. But I mean, I'm pretty introverted, but you have to have an open mind and you have to break past some of the barriers of things being sort of uncomfortable. And especially like with Airbnb, like the way I'm traveling now, like last night I stayed in someone's house and I was in their guest room and they were in the living room watching TV. And I mean, like we talked and we introduced ourselves and it was fine. And we both understood like, okay, I need a place to stay and they have a place for me to stay. Like, I just don't overcomplicate things like that. Like, yeah, use your best judgment, be safe, but at the same time, like, people have all these ridiculous fears of all these things that are going to happen. There's nothing that's going to happen to you if you stay in an Airbnb that has an approved host. They have ratings, they have, you know, previous reviews from other people who have stayed with them saying that everything went fine. Like, it just blows my mind that people are not embracing this more. So Wulfing is definitely something that I want to look into. Even if, like, the attitude that I took when I took the Yellowstone job was that even if it sucked, I would still get to see Yellowstone. And it did suck, but I still did get to see Yellowstone. So, for the Wulfing gig, I really, 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 really want to go to Australia. I actually wrote that. I had a couple of goals for the beginning of the year. January 1st, I wrote down all of my goals for 2017. One of them, what I want to do more of, was travel trips, more outings, hiking, swimming, reading books I can't put down, time with family and friends, freedom to act as myself. I put that I wanted to visit Italy to see my mom and Todd. I put that I wanted to get a job. I'm going to do both of those things. I put that I wanted to visit a national park. So, I mean, it blows my mind. Like, when I wrote this down January 1st, I never thought that that was going to happen. I put that I wanted to go to a casino. I've also done that this year. I put that I wanted to go to Australia and hold a koala bear. I still haven't done that this year. So, but the year's not over. It's only August 31st. So maybe I'm manifesting this stuff. I am planning on going to Italy. I'm not sure when, probably for Christmas. My mom lives in Italy, so I'm going to be staying with her and her husband. And there I wrote down all the good things about why 2017 was going to go well for me. Like, I know it sounds cheesy, but like I try to write down positive things that can help me, you know, just have a good outlook. And also I'll do like, if I feel really bad, I'll do like a gratitude thing or something. But anyways, both of these books I would really recommend them, and both of them have around a $10 price point. So if you're thinking about doing some kind of long-term travel, these are very good books. Honestly, Vagabonding is the book that gives you permission to travel like this, and How to Travel the World on $50 a Day is the book that tells you how. So very different books, but also very useful. I already gave away Vagabonding, but I still have this Travel the World on $50 a day. I'll probably pass this along to a friend or somebody that I think can use it. I really like sharing books that I've read. And if you've read this book and you have any other takeaways from it, I would love for you to leave that in the comment section. I highlighted a few things in here, and I'm just going back through and looking at them. But the biggest things that keep people from traveling, I guess, are the fact that you have to leave your entire life behind, and you have to have a significant amount of money to travel. I mean, not a whole lot, but I mean, a few $1,000s minimum, I would think. Like I wouldn't be comfortable traveling with less than $5,000 if I knew that I was, going to be doing extended trip. And so you never know what's going to come up on the road, but I'm sure there are people who travel for a lot less than that. And my cross country trip both ways, so like I took about 4 days on the way down, and that was around $500, and that included all of my stays at my Airbnb and my food and my gas. And then on the way back, I believe it's been around $600, and I took more than I think I'm taking 5 days. Let's say I stayed 3 nights in Wyoming, 1 night in Colorado, 1 night in Kansas, and 1 night in Arkansas. So it's going to be 6 nights. So it's probably closer to around $600 for everything included. And of course, I'm on the way home, so I'm definitely sourcing. I've been buying all kinds of stuff to sell. My car is packed full. Here's one more thing that I found in this book. Homestays are more common in, let's see what part of the world, South America. So like, staying with a host family. I actually stayed with a host family when I went to Costa Rica when I was 17, and they were the sweetest people ever. A lot of Costa Rican families host American travelers for like a week or a couple of weeks. So there may be some networks that you can find that would help you locate that, because I'd be more than happy to pay, a couple $100 a month for staying in a house in Costa Rica. All I really need is a room, and I'm pretty content. I really like to have internet, but I could probably get by without that too. So I guess I'm gonna head home, and I'm gonna make these plans, and I really am homesick, so I'm gonna try to stick around for a little while. But the next trip that I go on is most likely going to be Italy. So I may go on a little side trip to Nashville or to Atlanta or somewhere like that, but for the most part, I think I'm going to be staying in the Shoals for a little while because I'm very, very tired, and just kind of miss my folks, and I miss my dogs. But in the back of my mind, there's this maybe I should go to Thailand feeling. So I think that I'm definitely on the right track to starting another trip pretty soon. I'm going to keep ordering books about travel just to kind of plant that seed and keep it going. But I would really recommend that you listen to this podcast with Tim Ferriss and Rolf Potts, because it's really good. It's a two-parter and it's free. I think you can find it on any kind of podcast network, and it's just really interesting. And there's probably some good interviews with both of these writers. Typically, if I like a person's book, then I want to go listen to all of their interviews as well. So I'm kind of a fangirl that way. But yeah, these books were really good reads, around $10 on Amazon. So I mean, you can get a lot of information for $20 if you just buy both of these. Hopefully you like this little book review. Sort of a mix of a book review and an outlook on life video. I don't know, but I don't know. I'm trying to track what I'm doing right now, because I want to be able to look back on it later and just be like, wow, I can't believe I felt like that, or I can't believe I was thinking that back then. And especially just looking at my beginning of the year goals, I've already checked off almost all of them, or I have in the works a way to check it off. So visualize what you want, write down your goals. That's my biggest advice, is write down whatever it is you want to do that's short term and long term to kind of manifest those ideas. So thanks for watching this video, guys. And if you've read either one of these, just leave a comment and tell me what you got out of them. Thanks.